So let's talk the bank. For those who follow this show, you know the bank, sort of my branded segment talking about recruiting the team, basically the most direct insider info that I can provide in this kind of forum. We post it for free on CanesInsight.com, 7.5 million posts and counting on the bank. And I put the visitor list right on there. So as you can see here, we got some 2000. And this is, by the way, this visitor list is incomplete. It's not everybody that's going to be there. I just put some big time out of state visitors, and there's some names that you can't really share because sometimes these flip candidates, you let them show up and you go from there. Right. So keep that in mind as we talk about these guys. But some of the names that are on this visit list: Jackson Cantwell, number one player in America, just recently named that by Rivals. He was already number one player, but they confirmed that with the re-ranking. Nolan Wilson, sworn to the storm, asking was that Tyreek Green in the graphic. Yes, because Tyreek Green, the Georgia commit, will be visiting for this game. I mentioned Nolan Wilson, the Alabama commit. Tyson Bacon, Ben Congdon, Camden Portis, John Tavius Wyman, Cortis does Redding, all commits of ours. Isaiah Broughton, the UNLV commit. I'll talk about him in a second. 2027. Let's talk about some of these guys. I'm going to pull up this film right here because DJ Jacobs, who is the top 5 player in America, number 5 defensive end, or 5-star defensive end, one of the best players around in the class of 2027, is making his second visit to the University of Miami. Is an Atlanta native, plays for Miami. He's been doing a lot of damage there in Atlanta. But just to give you an idea of the kind of player we're talking about, let me pull up his film. Again, this guy was here for the Notre Dame game, saw that tremendous win, and now he is here for hopefully another tremendous win against Notre Dame. But when you get this amount of visits, it's pretty telling. So here we go. I mean, look at the explosiveness of this dude. I talked to him. We interviewed him. It's on CanesInsight. It's on the YouTube when we interviewed Jacobs. Very, very just like professional, good kid. Again, it's just a brief interview. But my first impression of him was outstanding. It's like, okay, yeah, I can see why this guy's a 5-star. And then you watch the film, and it's absolutely 5-star material. The Atlanta area, Miami's already got a couple commits. Look at first off the snap, the bend, the finish, and then you see him get fired up. They always say watch the visits when it comes to recruiting. So this is 4 weeks. This is a second visit. 5-star player from out of state. So put that one, put that one on your radar as we watch this film. You can see he's put together in person, but he's not like a huge guy. Probably more of just like your stand-up rusher, physical, but more of your stand-up guy who's going to get after it, as you see on these highlights. And these are sophomore highlights, so he's going to continue to get even higher and higher on the rankings. Fence Post asking, which looking do you guys go to? Miami Gardens, right by the stadium. So that's where we're at. Novice gamer asking, do I have to create a login to view the CanesInsight recruiting list? Nope. You can go to CanesInsight and go right from there. But no, there's no charge for logging in or signing up. It's all free. So go ahead and sign up. I promise you'll be happy you did. There you see, this guy's going to get bigger and bigger. Again, just a sophomore in these highlights and putting together tape that made him a 5-star player. So he's one of the many 2027 recruits that's going to be there. Some other names: Tyson Robinson, 4-star running back; Quentin Cypher, 4-star linebacker; Jackson Dollar, 4-star tight end; Marquez Daniel, 4-star wide receiver; Joshua Sam Apelli, 4-star offensive tackles. These guys are all blue chip out-of-state players that are visiting. Again, this is an incomplete list because you're going to see more players visit that are not these guys and guys that we're just not talking about for, let's say, strategic reasons, because we're trying to flip some guys. But look at the explosiveness of this dude. But these are some guys I can report 2027 targets. Miami really wants to get off to a quick start in 2027, looking to flip guys now they're having such a phenomenal season. And I think the plan so far has been going according to what they expected. Got to beat Florida in front of everybody here. Sworn to the Storm says, I got to be honest, Greater Atlanta has become pound for pound the best in the country for football talent. I would agree with that. I mean, South Florida has always been the best, or at least has been the best for the last 30 years, but it's down right now. I think Atlanta's caught up to it. I saw they did the NFL list, and Miami and Atlanta were both tied for the most players from one city. Look at this guy, man. He really does look the part here, Jacobs. So I would say they're pretty close. Question from 305 Shaman. How's Darion Coleman looking this year? I actually want to talk about him because part of the thing I talked on the bank was some of the players, like players that are committed to us that are having really good senior seasons. So I wanted to highlight guys that are impressing us. And this is again incomplete list, but guys that are really catching our attention just from their senior film, guys that we already have committed. So Morian Wingo from St. Augustine just got a big bump from Rivals as a recruit. These are national guys, so he's now a top 100 player in the country. Jalen Waters, the defensive back, the cornerback from the Tampa area, he continues to be a very, very sought after player in this class. Texas is trying to get in there because he's playing great ball, but Miami's been recruiting him extremely hard. Izzy Briggs, the tight end from California. JJ Edwards, the linebacker from Orlando. We posted some of that film on here. He's been outstanding. And then Darion Coleman, who you asked about, the quarterback from Orlando, doing a really nice job. But I talked about these under the radar defensive tackles. So I want to talk about some of these guys. Let's start with Logan Nagel here, who is from northern New Jersey, basically like the New York metro area, on the New Jersey side, area where Miami's been successful. I think David Njoku's from that area, Greg Olson. So we've gotten guys from that area. These are city kids. They're more comfortable in Miami. They're actually very similar to the University of Miami student body. A lot of guys from New Jersey, a lot of guys from this area. So Logan Nagel's another one. Pittsburgh commit. You see him there. Quick. Pittsburgh does such a good job recruiting defensive linemen and evaluating those guys. They're always one of those teams that when you see a Pittsburgh offer, you kind of raise your eyebrow in a good way. But yeah, Logan Nagel, body type, you're talking about 6'4", 275. I've seen this guy. He is definitely that. There you see him getting after it here. Miami wants these defensive tackles that are so, let's call them underrated. Obviously, they're still after 5 stars and guys like that. But in terms of these more under the radar defensive tackles, they want guys that have body types that can win championships. I think they're at a point now where they're not trying to get these overachiever type defensive tackles. Well, they want overachievers with great talent, but I mean, they're trying to get, really talented dudes. And I think Logan Nagel's someone that you see the change of direction he has at his height, great motor, a very talented player. You see him on special teams. I always talk about blocked kicks as an indicator of upside talent, movement, etc. There you see him. I mean, this guy can really, really move. He's got height, and he's from an area where Miami's had success. So I think this is a name that's worth keeping an eye on. Pittsburgh commit. You see him here just completely wrecking games. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Brandon Fisk, who you saw at FSU a couple of years ago. Similar size, similar body type, quick guy, disruptive. So it'd be nice, very nice addition to add a Logan Nagel to this class. Really like his film. Another guy that's got a ton of buzz, a little more local, is Frederick Saintius from Naples. I'm pulling up this video. I haven't seen this video yet, so hopefully it's good. But this just got posted. This is his last game. Man, look at that, flying off the snap. His senior film has been outstanding. He was an FAU committee, recently decommitted. He's visited Miami. He was there for the Florida game. He's someone Miami's really, really hot after right now. 6'4", 275. I mean, he is wrecking these games. Competition is obviously not the best, but he's doing what you want to see against that competition, which is completely dominating. Multi-sport guy, wrestles, track, all that stuff. The body type is there. We've seen him in person. We like what we see. Look at the balance to stay on his feet and change directions and hustle. I mean, all these things you're seeing on display. And this is just one. This is his last game. So this is the most recent look you're seeing at Frederick Saintius, just completely dominating. Like I said, decommitted from FAU. Florida's in the mix, but I think, we're seeing Florida kind of fall apart. Miami's hot on his trail. They love what they see. You see him playing offensive line there. They think he's got the body type. They think he's got the talent. Very raw, but they think in a year or two, this guy's going to be just absolutely unreal. I mean, look at here he got him in space here. He looks like a boom. Oof, man, poor kid. That's one game from Saintius. So he's a guy I would circle and really keep an eye on as these late blooming type of guy. He is from Haiti. He's not, a Haitian. I mean, he is a Haitian American now. He's not like a Haitian American born in America. Like, he is from Haiti. So newer to the game of football, making that adjustment. The upside is there. I heard the guy's a great kid. I just, wrestler, so he's tough, disciplined, all that kind of stuff. So I think when you look at the whole package when it comes to Frederick Saintius, really, really good player. Excited to see what he could do. Let's see what's going on here. What else we got going on? One more guy, Broughton, right? So I mentioned earlier in the bank that Isaiah Broughton was going to visit. That's one of the few uncommitted 2026 kids that we're after that is visiting. And let me pull up his early season highlight tape here, because this guy's a Houston, Texas player committed to UNLV. I don't expect that to stick. He's got some big time interest, but Miami's really, really aggressively evaluating defensive tackles and defensive tackles that have a certain size threshold, body type threshold, athleticism threshold. And Broughton's clearly someone that they think could be over the line, because they're bringing him in for a visit, or at least they're hosting him for the game visit. So there you see him. Boom. The body type's pretty obvious. Houston, Texas. So he's not from the sticks. He's from a big city, which I always tend to look for with these guys, because it's just harder to get guys that are not from cities. There you see some first step quickness. What jumps out to me with Broughton is just look at the size. I mean, he's got that body type. See him rushing the passer. This is an early season highlight, so a lot of these are from the same game. He hasn't played a ton of games yet. The season just started, but I'm sure we're going to look at him when he's on his visit, get to know him a little bit. But they liked what they saw in this early season highlight reel. I don't think UNLV is going to hold on to a guy with this kind of size. Play by the rules. Miami's getting players from Hollywood casting the right measurables. You need it. You need it. So look at that. Look at that movement skill as he gets it done. Baganoff says we need to get into Texas. I agree. And I would be really very much focused on cities, not to be a broken record, but I think cities are the way to go when you talk about getting into Texas, because you're not going to go into West Texas, Friday Night Lights country and pull kids that are worth pulling, most likely. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying it's probably going to be unlikely to be able to do, just because Miami is a very different place, just culturally. I mean, it's just far. It's a different lifestyle. You're in a different part of the world. Go to Texas A&M, to Texas Tech, to Texas, to Oklahoma, places that are closer to home, they're probably more familiar with. However, Dallas, Texas, Houston, Texas, maybe even Austin, Texas, you're talking about kids that are more likely to fit in at the University of Miami. I think of some great Dallas Canes. First name that jumps to my mind is Jesse Armstead from Dallas. I believe Kevin Williams might have been from Dallas. Correct me if I'm wrong. Let me pull up this highlight here. But, that's the kind of place I would like to target when you go into Texas. We did get portal guys from Texas. We talk about Cam Ward, Damian Martinez. Arroyo was a signee. I want to say he's from San Antonio, but he's from one of the cities. Another city kid in hostile territory that Miami really likes, Luke Brewer. So a tight end. He was going to be a 2027 tight end. Now he's been reclassed into 2026. He's from Des Moines, Iowa. So Iowa tight end, but not from the sticks. This guy's from Des Moines, so a little bit of a bigger city. And this is watching his sophomore film. He's now reclassed, so I guess the next year is his senior film. That film's not out to the public, but I heard it looks incredible. Miami really likes what this guy looks like on his more recent game film. This is again from last year. But a guy can block, guy that can get open, has some quickness, catches the ball with his hands, from an area that produces a ton of tight ends in Iowa. And he's visited 4 times. So this is not like a pie in the sky type of offer. You see him line up a receiver, good quickness, hands catcher, gets upfield, runs someone over. So Miami has a lot of tight ends in the mix there for this 26 class. Talk about Izzy Briggs, already committed. They've offered a ton of guys at that spot, but this is a name that was associated with 27 that I think you got to put into that 2026 bucket. And when you visit 4 times, I don't care where you're from, you're a potential commit. So keep an eye on Luke Brewer. Miami loves him. Another name I want to get to here before we wrap up the bank, Trent Seaborn from Birmingham, Alabama, Thompson High School, originally from Hawaii, has visited Miami now 3 times this calendar year. Miami's top quarterback target in the class of 27. I talked to him after the USF game. He loved the atmosphere. He loved seeing that offensive line that Carson Beck was playing behind. Loved seeing some of those young receivers, Josh Moore, Malachi Toney. So, yeah, good football situation for him. He enjoyed his visit. He's visited a bunch. SEC's after him hard, all that kind of stuff. But I think Miami's going to have a real good chance at Trent Seaborn. They're going to really turn the temperature up with him because he is their guy in the class of 27. So that's the bank.